Smart aesthetics, branding, marketing, entrepreneurship.
Greetings and welcome back to the Kiss My Aesthetic podcast. I'm so excited to have Jules on today, all the way from Scotland.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, our first Scottish guest. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. I'm privileged if I'm the first.
Oh my gosh, did you know I'm actually coming to Scotland this year?
Oh, well, we have to meet up then if you are. Where are you going?
We haven't decided, so I'm going to have to talk with you about this offline for sure, because my sister turns 30 and her birthday's in October, and she loves like the deep, dark kind of look. You know what I mean? She's a Scorpio.
Okay.
And she wants to do like fancy but preppy.
Okay.
So think on that.
Yeah.
I'll come back to you at the end of the episode. How about that?
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'll have it. I'm already deep in thought.
Great. So you'll have that in the background. But for everyone who doesn't know you yet, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and who you help?
Yes, so my name's Jules and I am a graphic designer. I've been a graphic designer now more than 2 decades. That's all I'm going to admit to. And I've specialised in brand design for most of my career, and most recently branched out to a second business now, specialising in Canva training, Canva sessions and Canva memberships. As part of that, because when I worked with a lot of my brand clients, more and more of them are starting to ask me to create content in Canva for them and their templates, because you'll be the same when you hand over this massive package with logos and colours and their guidelines, they just get scared of like knowing how to use it. And Canva's kind of changed the game completely for empowering like the clients we work with to feel confident to actually go in there and create the content themselves, because it's all within Canva for them to use. So that's kind of like whole second business by complete accident that wasn't planned.
I love that you do this, because it hits to the point that is actually what we're trying to do as designers is make people feel proud of the work that we give them.
Yes, absolutely.
And we want, when we deliver something to them, that they feel proud enough that they know how to use it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Canva solves that problem big time. That's what it solves for us. How did you even hear about Canva, start using Canva? Like, when did it even come on your radar?
It didn't actually come on my radar. Well, it slightly came on my radar. When my journey, I used to be managing a house design team for a UK regulator, and I managed their brand. And it started, I'd hear things about Canva, like usually somebody else within the comms team would go, oh yeah, I was experimenting Canva, and can you create something like this? And I'm going, what the hell is this program? And this is a good 6-7 years ago. And I have to admit, shamefacedly now with how I do, I was like, I don't like it. I don't like this program. How this is what designers should do. I don't want other people in the teams being able to access design and do it badly, because we were a regulator. Brand was everything and things had to be consistent. But then actually I left there. I set up my business while I was still there. Because I'd been in a house for 10 years, I had no clients. So I had to build it up slowly, and I was slowly transitioning, going part-time and to go out on my own. And it wasn't until I was out on my own that a client said to me again, look, I love my brand, but I am absolutely terrified I'm going to ruin it. Please, I give you my login to Canva. Can you go in and have a look at it? And I was like, yep, but hands up, I've never even looked at Canva. So I went in. And so I'd figured my way about it. I actually created the templates first in Illustrator, and then thought, right, I'll rebuild them in Canva. What I found was I was getting frustrated with things that I thought should be simple was actually quite difficult in Canva, or it wasn't obvious. One simple one I think back now is I didn't know how when you used to move an image across, it would snap to the background. And I didn't know how to select it to move the image. And it took me ages to figure out that you double click it. So I started thinking to myself, if I'm getting frustrated with simple things and I'm a designer, I'll start posting some TikToks to like give these tips. And at the time, my son, he's 15 now, so he was 13 then, and he was like, oh my God, Mum, what are you doing? I says, I'm filming a TikTok. He went, oh, that's so cringy, Mum. No, I can't believe you're posting a TikTok. Oh my God, I can't tell him in the school. And then it just sort of ballooned. But what I realised was the Canva I'd looked at 5-6 years ago was completely different from the Canva 2-3 years ago, and even now. So I thought there's so much more in here than I realised. And then I seen how delighted my client was once I was able to provide them, and the templates all set up and the logos are all uploaded and our colours are all there. And I thought, this is a service I should be providing for my brand clients. Because, and you'll probably find the same, have you ever been so frustrated when you've worked really hard on a brand project and it's beautiful and you hand it over and then you start seeing what they create and they don't put the right colours together, or they go off tangent and use the wrong fonts, or they just don't make it look as good as it could look. So what I found is, since I've started to give this additional services, they are more consistent with their content, their posting, they're putting their face out there more, they're more visible because they feel confident that they have all the tools there to just update a little bit of text rather than feeling they have to compose all the elements themselves. But then accidentally, from posting those TikToks and just giving those tips, that account just started to blow up like crazy. Like as I say, I used to actually watch your TikToks and like your brands and how design in 60 seconds. And I did have a TikTok for my brand business, but I decided to create a separate one because I was really just going to niche down on Canva tips. And my own brand for my brand work is very high end, it's very luxurious, it's very feminine, refined, but I felt like it didn't quite fit with posting Canva content.
Interesting.
Yes. So I felt it was actually easier to create a whole new brand. And anyway, I like to have two brands because, you know, like it allowed me to have a more fun side, but also it's a completely different audience I'm appealing to, the audience that want to use my services as a brand designer and do it all for them and create something really beautiful and high end are not my audience that DIY and I want to create their own content. Mm-hmm. So I had to have a different look to it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
But I'm going to counter. Are you ready? Do you want to play it with me? Because
yes,
now
absolutely.
I always need to, I'm doing this thing where I'm trying to ask if people want to play with the thought that just passed through my mind.
Yep.
I think there's a lot in common with someone that wants information easily and a person who's a luxury client.
Yes. Yes.
What do you think that those two things have in common?
They want it to be, they just want it to be done. They want to trust the person they're working with, that they know what they're doing.
Yes.
And whether that's helping them, teach them to be able to do the content, or whether it's handing it all over with complete confidence that they're going to get it done for them, it is the same. I have found though over here, I'm more, it is completely different audiences that I have.
Sure.
So it's easier to separate.
Sure. No, and I definitely this is just a brain teaser.
Yeah,
this isn't really like advice. But definitely easier to separate. But I think, again, the more that our team gets into like a luxury niche, like I think we're kind of in similar spots. I love travel. I love working with Airbnb owners and, you know, I actually love knowing people all over the world is what it is.
Yeah.
So I love that now we know each other and you're in Scotland and I'm trying to go to Scotland and now we can have coffee. Absolutely. And scones in Scotland. Is scones? Scones Scotland? Scones. I was just checking that's Scotland and England. Because I know England is scones and tea.
England is scones more, but we are scones.
Scones.
A wee scone, is what I would say.
A wee scone. Okay, I'm going to remember that. Okay. So I actually just love really knowing people around the world. And so that's kind of what's leading me in the direction of wanting to do more of this kind of work. But again, I think the person that wants their brand to look luxury actually just wants for themselves for it to feel easy.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes. They want to feel they have control.
Aesthetics. Yeah. Go on your thought. You take it.
And I think again, it's the reputation of Canva is changing. It is changing from the hobbyists and DIYers and the looking for a quick logo. I've been working directly with Canva and doing some workshops with them, with their teams, and it's working with other creative agencies and working with news channels, and it's big companies are all using Canva now because they are realizing the power of collaboration and team working and being able to comment on the designs. And that's what's so beautiful about it. You can't do that in other programs, and you can't communicate directly with your client as easily in other programs as you can in Canva. Right. So they are really utilized in making it a collaborative platform. Yes. And this is what I think is helping. And the capabilities and the functions and the tools within it are allowing you to make much, much more professional looking graphics that you can't even tell what program they're made in anymore. And that's what I love to challenge people with. I often say, do you believe this has been created in Canva? And so many people are like that. No way. And how you must have done that in After Effects or Figma or Illustrator. You're like, no, Canva. So you really challenge it. Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because it reminds me of when I went to Adobe Max. Did you happen to listen to that episode that I made on the podcast?
I've not, no.
Okay, so basically the thesis is I went to Adobe Max and I felt like everyone that was there was not me.
Right.
Because I felt that everyone that was there because they were there from their corporate team was paying them to be there.
Right.
And I paid $1,800 to go as a freelancer. And I was told that there was going to be stuff for me when really it was only stuff for teams, corporate teams. Do you know what I'm saying by that? So that was the first thing that kind of threw me off for the conference. On top of that, apparently you had to book what sessions you wanted to be in weeks before you got there.
No.
And if you weren't booked, you had to stand in a line, like standby on a flight. And so before a session would happen, they'd let the people in that reserved the spot, and then they'd let standby in. But more often than not, only 3 people trickled in. And then
goodness.
they let in everybody who actually paid to be there.
That's not good.
It was so backwards to me. And then on top of that, you get into the seminars and you get into their keynote, and they said, Adobe, so easy. Everyone could do it.
Do you know, that reminded me, I did actually listen to you saying that because I didn't join remotely, so I missed that. And I remember you saying they're missing their target audience. Their target audience is professionals within the creative industry. It's not meant to be for everyone. But I think this is where they're trying to jump onto now what Canva are doing. Yes, they are scared.
I think they're scared.
And now I've been around for a long time. I've seen lots of different software come and go. When I first started, it was PageMaker against Quark Express. Now then Quark Express was made obsolete, and then InDesign came in. There was a program called Freehand in Illustrator. There was CorelDRAW. I have literally used them all over the years, and none of them had a grip like Adobe had. Now, if you weren't using Adobe, when I worked in design agencies, if we interviewed people and they didn't use Adobe, they just wouldn't even get in the door. But now, this is the first company, I think, that have brought out something that's scaring them. And I mean, I tried using the kind of equivalent Adobe Express, is it? It was called Spark, I think, before that. But I found the app really frustrating and just not as enjoyable and lovely to use. So I just ditched it, and I haven't even opened up the app for about 18 months now. So here's the other thing. So if Adobe missed the boat on, hey, everyone could use it, which we've now both admitted is not actually the truth. No.
Right?
No.
So it's complicated. And the whole point was that it was complicated because, first of all, the technology wasn't totally there for a while. But second of all, because it was a distance between the designer and the client.
Yes.
Right? It was telling the client, you need me.
Yes.
Instead of you want to work with me.
Yes.
You need me because you can't do it on your own, versus I'd rather teach you how to do it on your own and have you want to work with me.
Yep. And I think the equivalent as well is that I can teach people how to use a comprehensive use of Canva in one day, in a one-day workshop. There's no way I could do that with Adobe, with Illustrator and Photoshop and InDesign. It would take me weeks to teach them how to use that because it's a whole other level. There's so much intricacies to it. And Adobe, by saying designs for all or everyone, is completely missing the boat because it's not. But also their price point is so much more expensive as well than what Canva is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you think that easiness is a luxury? Do you see what I'm doing?
Yes.
Right?
And it's not easy to replicate. I think they thought they could replicate it by just adding it to a tagline in a conference, but there's so much work went behind it to make it feel like a luxury.
To make it feel like a luxury, and also the Canva part, the luxury is not actually... The luxury is part of the luxury of Canva is the ease of use, but what it's actually helping you do is help people get to their goals faster.
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
Right? Because it's like, let's use the easy tool. I don't want you to have to use the hard tool. I don't even want you to have to learn the hard tool.
No.
I'd much rather help you learn the easy tool.
Yeah, exactly. And I even find now that I constantly have the Canva tab open, like when I've got my iMac on, and I literally only go into Adobe programs now, Illustrator, to create the actual logo. So it's a Gordon vector, and then the minute it's created, I am back into Canva and I'm uploading it to Canva, and I'm then creating all the assets, all the templates and all the visual things that people will need to use in Canva. I am using it less and less. I'm still paying that same subscription charge. I couldn't even tell you the last time I opened Photoshop, because again,
Me
you
either.
can do
I hate Photoshop.
quick edits. Yep. And Canva, and it's enough. It's enough for what we need it to be for.
So can I tell you a story? Oh my goodness. I've never told this on the podcast before. Adobe reached out to work with our team for sponsored ads. I got down to like the 4th or 5th video call with these people, and I was like, I don't actually like Adobe.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a second. You mean they didn't go on my website and look at the podcast where I like roasted Adobe Max and they still want to work with me? Like I felt like I was getting away with murder. And I was like, wait a second. I need to just step back. And so I did. And I said, hey guys, thanks so much. I was really honored that they wanted to work with me.
Yeah.
And I didn't need to tell them that it's because I like the competitor product better. But I said, you know what? Like, hey, it's not fitting right now for some reason. There's a lot of things going on, but this is exactly the reason.
Yeah.
And the reason is I don't like their program very much.
And they're losing, they're actually alienating their existing audience rather than growing a new one. Which is, I don't think they realised. I've seen so much chat and a lot of the designer groups I'm in about the updates they're trying to make to the Adobe Express app, and they mucked it up and people lost whole libraries of designs, and they're doing all sorts of daft stuff. Can I just say though, every interaction I've had with Canva, anyone in a team, anyone in a have been beautiful people to work with, like so lovely and so appreciative and like willing to take on board feedback and learn. And oh my God, I've never came across an organisation like them before in all my experience of working with different companies. They're so sweet.
And I think that's what keeps us, right?
Yeah.
What invited us in was ease of use.
Yeah.
That was the invitation to the house of Canva. It was like, hey, we're easy to use. And I'm like, you're like, really? You're easy to use? Because this takes me so much time in Adobe. They said, no, really, come sit at my table. We're easy to use. And then we sat at the table. We said, wait a second, this could help me with my clients more.
Yes.
This would actually help me do my job better. And they're like, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. And then you stuck around and you're like, wait, I like all of you guys.
Yeah.
Give me the things that I want. Like when they unveil a new feature, the emotional reaction I had to the Canva Summit versus the Adobe Summit was night and day.
When I was at the Canva Create event last March in Sydney, and when they unveiled the brand kit, I was just like, that way my heart just sang, and I was like, oh, this is what I've been waiting for. I'm just going to use it all the time now. Yeah. Because
as designers, it makes us feel like we were listened to.
Yes.
Because we asked for that, and then they made it.
And layers. We kept asking for layers, and when they brought out layers, so happy.
Okay, what are your other, now we're going to go full Canva nerd talk.
Yeah, okay.
What are your other favorite features on Canva that like you think people do not know about?
Well, one of my favourite, which everyone knows about, is probably the number one feature, is background remover. Now, I come from the days of having to work in Photoshop and painstakingly cutting a path that would take me an hour and a half, and blending the hair out in the house so that you couldn't see any white. And I actually sat down with my ex-boss. He was my first boss from, I was a junior designer in his company and worked with him for 10 years to become a senior designer. And he hadn't ever like looked at Canvas. I was like, I'm going to show you some stuff. And when I showed him that, he did swear a bit. And he's like, what the? And I was like, yeah. He went, that took us hours in Photoshop. And you telling me you just do it in a click of a button. And I use it just about every single day.
Same.
Some of my ones I love that is not so well known is in the actual photo editing part. Everyone goes to the magic features and the grab and the edit and the raise. But if you kind of click across to the one toggle, and you can actually switch between foreground, background, and you can like darken the background if you need to put some text in front, and you can blur the background separately. And all that stuff, there's so much photo editing brilliance in there that I don't think a lot of people notice, because some of the stuff is super discreet, so you kind of have to dig around to find it. That's another one of my favourite features as well. Yeah.
I love that one. I also love the collaborative function. I think especially if you're running with a team like my team is.
Yeah.
Literally today, by the time that we're recording this, I had a conversation with my designer, Madison, today. She expressed wanting to be more involved in the brand design process because she's like, I think I like that. I want more. And I told her, I said, my biggest fear is that I'm not going to be able to show you the inside of my brain because I don't know how to delegate to you if I don't even know what it looks like. And she's like, okay, how can we do this? And I said, all right, what if when I'm live streaming on TikTok, you can watch it. And what I want you to do in Canva is start prepping what kind of mock-ups you want to go in this presentation. Because she really likes mock-ups. She loves making mock-ups because she has a huge Photoshop background. She's so good at it. And so I said, all right, let's do that. And I said, but I don't go live on TikTok until like 5 p.m. I said, so maybe we need to do that earlier in the day. She's like, honestly, I'd rather just sleep in the morning and then join you at 5 p.m. And I was like, are you joking? This is why. And she's a full-time employee. She's like, can we just shift my hours? And I was like, I didn't even think about that. She's like, that would be more fun for me anyway. Okay, that's so easy. It's silly.
I think that's the beauty, like, obviously working with different time lessons. I now work for myself. I set my own hours and I am more creative at night. I just
too.
Switch about 9 p.m, 10 p.m. I just go ping. And even if I try and get up early and I try and train myself to start now, walk the dog and be at my desk by 9, I faff about and I don't focus. I browse and I kind of like play around and then I'll go and walk the dog again, and then I'll like go and put a washing on or whatever. My brain just doesn't function. Whereas now, like it's 10 p.m. now, just my time just now. I've been working up till now. I'll work after this and I'll go to bed at like 1. It's just, and if that suits now your team member to work that way, then she's going to be happier because she's fitting in with her own routine of when she's most creative.
She's going to be happier. And we're also going to turn it around faster, the projects.
Exactly. Because it's going to, once you switch off, it's going to kind of continue going on. One thing that's not used a lot, which I use a lot for my own brainstorming, is the whiteboards in Canva. Do you ever use them?
I love the whiteboards in Canva. Tell me what you like about it.
I use them a lot for the way I used to use Illustrator. Now that way you have this massive board and you can dump all your images now from like your mood board or when you're scrolling through the elements and you find things you like. I also don't like, there's something about a finished artboard makes me feel constrained. So when it's in the whiteboard, I feel like I can kind of go off the page a bit and bring things in. So I often map out my designs in there first and collate all the different elements and things I want to use, and then go into the actual artboard in the Canva file and create the finished artwork. And it's a really good collaborative space as well with your team members. Basically, you can leave sticky notes for each other and leave comments, and you can actually see when somebody else is in the board because how icons came up and stuff. So I do, and not a lot of people use the whiteboards, I think, that much yet, but it's a space I use and I love all the time.
Same. You know, we've started using it with all of our clients when we brainstorm social media content.
Brilliant.
So we're getting ready and we actually are doing it now with the photography, videography teams. So what we're doing is we are working with like a real estate group out of Milwaukee. They already had a photo video team on staff. And so they're bringing us on to do social because what they're realizing is they can't just post talking head reels on TikTok and Instagram without giving any more context. And the way I've described that is like, not everyone wants to learn in the same way.
Yes.
So if you want to communicate your message, some people like to read, some people like to listen, some people like to see.
Yeah.
So you guys are only hitting on one way that people like to learn. So your message is only coming through in one way. So you're missing out on all the people that don't get that message that way. So my suggestion was we did a whiteboard and we like laid everything out and we said, okay, video team, photo team, this is what we would love to see from you so that we can do what we do and you guys can do what you do better. Yeah. And so we put it all out and we have like little bubbles and sections of like, this is this type of content. This is this type of content. Because I think when people think about content, it gives them overwhelm.
Yes. Yes.
Because they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And it's not that you have to know where to finish. You just have to know where to start.
Yeah.
So that you can do the thing that you're good at. And then you pay attention to what's resonating with people. And you do more of this, more of that.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing with the word branding seems like such a big word and the word content seems like such a big word. So people just tend to stay up in the clouds and not narrow down, but you just have to start somewhere. And if Canva gives them that platform, again, to feel confident that they can just start somewhere, then they gain more confidence to start being a bit more strategic about the content they're putting out and everything else. It's just the getting started part that's often the stumbling block. So that gives them that.
So how do you work with clients now? Like, we love Canva. We love all the features of Canva. We've got the Canva backstory. So what does that look like for you now as far as what you offer and how you help people?
Yes. So what it's actually ended up doing is I've very much niched down my brand design projects. I only take on a handful a year, ones that really light me up that I absolutely want to do. But by bringing in the Canva services, they've allowed me to scale my business. And you'll know the same as well, because if you're a brand designer, you only have so many hours in a day, you only have so much creativity before you burn it out. And it's something I was suffering from kind of like the beginning of last year. I was back to back brand projects with no space. And I've listened to you before you talk about how you need a good week or two to kind of come up with ideas and walk the dog. And I'm like that. I can't just come up with, I don't do branding in a day or even a week because I can't. I either have an idea formed straight away or it takes me 2-3 weeks to nail it. And I always end up the process with uploading all their brand assets into Canva and creating social templates, LinkedIn headers, FB brands, whatever they need. We can tailor the brand's package to suit them for their business and what style of business they have. But what I've now been able to do is I do Canva workshops. I do them over Zoom. I do them in person. I do Canva trainings that I love going in. One of my favourite things to do is to go into creative agencies and actually work with our designers and train them on how to use Canva. And you'll know yourself, it's different from teaching non-designers and business owners Canva to going into working with your peers. And often it's designers like me who've been in it a long time and they'll go, yeah, they either have never opened Canva in their life before or they think they know how to use it well. And then I went, do you know you can do this, this, this and this? And they just go, oh my God. No, I did not know they could do that. Mm-hmm. I had one training session and the girl, she was their PR person and she's going and again they're quite intense because when you have other creatives they come armed with questions. I want to know how to do this. I want to know, can you do that? Because if you can't, it's not worth it. And I have to come prepared to be able to answer that. And she's like, well, I need to send out invitations. I've got 150 of them now, how they're all personalized. And I'm like, oh my God, yes, you can do bulk create now. And she's like, what's that? So I talked it through how you can upload the CSV form and it auto-populates the design. Then you can download them all individually to send them out in your email, how merge. And she's like, you've just saved me like a day's work. And I'm like, yeah.
Right.
And then
what a luxury it is for someone to come into your business and tell you how you can do your job easier.
Yes. That's the
luxury.
Yes.
That's the part.
And in the same session, I saved them money because I showed them the translate function, and the translate function is really good. And they were saying, hang on a minute, we've got a client that we have to translate into 3 different languages and we use a translating service up the road which charges a couple of £100 an hour. Are you telling me that we can just press a button and it translates all of the documents for us? Yes. So I saved them money.
So again, this is literally this is exactly what I need to hear today, because tomorrow I'm talking to my Italian client about her Italian Airbnb business.
Yes.
And this was a question I had. Yes. I know I can design for you in English, but my feeling is that your audience actually speaks Italian and io parlo un po' di italiano. So, got a little bit from college, but not enough.
Yes.
And I was freaking out. And now I'm so glad that you brought that up because...
And it's the translations are very good. You obviously still have to check they're correct, but your client can check that for you. One of my good friends is a designer and she's Polish, and she tested it out and she went, the Polish translation works brilliant. So I hear it is very good. And you can even tweak the settings so that, do you know how some languages are obviously longer word lengths and sentence lengths? So you can actually tweak it to allow that when it's redesigns for you. So there's less tweaking once that happens, which is, again, amazing. And then lastly, the designer in that same session, I said, well, you can upload your logo as an SVG and then you can change the colours and the design, don't you? And she went, no. I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. She goes, I've just been uploading them as a PNG. I went, watch this. So, and then she's just like, so to get the open mouth reactions from the whole team. And then now I can scale because I've got a membership. So I now, for small business owners, have a monthly templates that go out at the start of the month, and it's content tailored to how the calendar, but it's not just like how special days or whatever it is. It's like designed for engagement, for collaboration, for how sales, how content again that they feel they can go, right, how can I just quickly tailor this to suit me? Because again, with Brand Kit, you can change the colours and the fonts with the click of a button to turn it into their branding. And then most recently, which is quite exciting, is I launched my first course, which I haven't ever done before, on animations. So that just came out December. So it's like all different ways I would never have thought of doing before when it was just brand design services, but suddenly I can tailor a whole wider audience than I was ever able to before.
Okay, so what's it going to take for you to cancel your Adobe subscription?
Once Canva can create vector like logos, then yes, I could probably see myself going that way. But at the moment, because I don't have that functionality, I don't know how close it is. I keep asking them. It
has to be close. But here's my armchair prediction.
Okay.
I predict that that's what AI is going to do for logo designers.
Do you think so?
Yes.
Right.
Because I think it's not actually about technically moving pixels. And a designer it's just about getting the computer to see your brain.
Mm-hmm.
So as designers, if we can get really good about articulating what we see in our brain, why do we have to be the one to move the mouse?
That's very true, actually. Because you think, sometimes... Do you know that way you just think people can understand what you're thinking, but when you start to say it out loud, you get the kind of blank look and you just go, trust me, trust my vision. And then once you put it in paper, they go, we get it now. So if I could get AI to understand my brain, that would be great.
I give myself 2 months until I say on a discovery call, not even 2 months. I have 6 discovery calls tomorrow. I'm going to say on the discovery calls tomorrow, we use AI to design the logos. We use AI because AI, you can create vector. You can create vector with AI.
Right, okay. I haven't even delved into it. I have dabbled with AI for brand strategy. It's amazing for brand strategy. Because I don't know about you, I am not a writer. I'm such a visual person. I struggle with the writing. And AI has changed the game for me because I'm still inputting all of the strategy questions that I've pulled out of them in the call and in the workbook I give them. But it just helps me collate it into an order that's cohesive.
Can I tell you our AI workflow that we currently have?
Okay.
Can I share it with you?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
So basically, our process is discovery call, right? Discovery call, figure out what you need. Let's pull together a proposal. Send you the proposal. Client's like, I want branding. Great. The first meeting is the brand questionnaire. You probably do something very similar.
Yep.
They fill out all the answers. We workshop it together. I ask follow-up questions. I really want to make sure that I'm understanding what the client is looking for so that I can give them what they're looking for.
Yeah.
But also match it with the strategy and the vision that I have.
Yep.
Because pretty much on the discovery call, I can see in my mind what it's supposed to look like.
Mm-hmm.
So actually the brand questionnaire is just to confirm that what I think is actually what they want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So you're feeling this feeling.
Yeah.
So then we've added a step in our brand design process called brand boilerplate, which basically means we're taking that long 6, 7, 8 page brand questionnaire and we take it I take it to ChatGPT and then I ask ChatGPT specifically, answer these questions based on the information that you know, right? So now it's synthesizing everything from the brand questionnaire. And I said the 3 best brand adjectives, not 12, not 40, 3, right? What's the mission statement? ChatGPT's writing the mission statement. And then I'm correcting it. I'm saying like, actually, no, actually put more weight on this. Actually, we don't need that part because they decided they don't want to offer that service anymore, right? Like I'm giving it more information, more input so that it gives me quality output. So then I basically show this brand boilerplate to the client, like, is this good for you? This is the information I'm going to go off of. And they say, good. Then we do the branding. Yeah. So then once I have that thread already starting in ChatGPT, I can then ask ChatGPT to write me mid-journey prompts that will give me images that I can use in my mood board that fit the brand.
See, up until mid-journey, I'd say our process is exactly the same. And that's how I've been using ChatGPT and it's almost, I suppose because I work for myself, it's like lovely to have somebody to chat to.
Brainstorming. It's a brainstorm tool.
Because it's the one thing I miss about now working on my own. I don't have my team anymore. I always had other designers to bounce and collaborate off of. I haven't delved into mid-journey yet. I haven't taken it to the mood board stage, but I definitely will be trying that next week for my next one.
Right. Because then how many times as a brand designer have you searched up and down and forward and backward for a stock photo that you needed for something when you saw what you wanted in your head?
Yes. And you can't quite find it. I spend hours like scrolling, going, not right. So that would really help me.
So do you know that there is an image generation tool inside of ChatGPT?
Yeah.
Okay. So try that one.
I haven't used it yet.
Okay. First of all, you're going to lose your mind. Second of all, Canva also has one of these embedded.
They do.
But they're all not very good, right? Like, they are good. They are good when you consider what they're doing. But as far as what we're seeing in our mind, it doesn't really match, right? Yeah. So because I've played with so many of these tools, and shout out to Lauren Bemused Studio, she teaches me everything I've known about AI. Everything about AI I've learned from this girl. And she's an angel. So if you're not following her, everyone, you have to follow her because she's good people, first of all. But she's also insanely smart. So basically, all these AI tools, the way that my brain is understanding it currently is that they have different proficiencies and deficiencies. Like the one within let's do Canva first. The Canva text to image, good, but it doesn't let me get very specific.
Yes. Yeah.
And the interface of it is so off to the side that I don't feel that I can see the options big enough.
Yep. Yeah.
So Canva, if you're listening, this is what we want.
Yeah.
So then ChatGPT uses DALL-E. So DALL-E 3 has gotten way better in the last 6 months. Way. So if you've used it before, just like your experience with Canva, if you used it before, it's way different than what you thought you got the first time.
Yeah.
That one is really good at like photorealism, not really photorealism, kind of hyperrealism. So if you think about like a mock-up, right? A Photoshop mock-up, you can kind of tell it's not a real photograph. This is like a little too perfect.
Yep.
That's what DALL-E does for me. So I posted on Instagram. My friends and I are part of this group called Babes Golf, and they want to start doing retreats all over the world. So I was like, okay, what does Babes Golf Scotland look like? What does the box look like for Babes Golf Scotland? And I'm standing in the airport on my phone making these images and posting them on Instagram, and just like, maybe what about Babes Golf Las Vegas or Babes Golf Hawaii? And like but I was editing them still. I think that's the thing that people are missing is people think that the first output is what they're seeing.
Yep.
No. You're seeing output 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Like, it's because I'm brainstorming with it.
Yeah.
I'm saying, that's not what I see in my head. Yeah. That's not what I see in my head. That's not what I see in my head. Show me what I see in my head. Show me what I see in my head. So, or it'll be like, what about this? And you're like, actually, yes. Actually, I do like that. I hadn't thought of that. Let's go off that. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, right?
Yeah.
So that's DALL-E with ChatGPT. Midjourney, you can specify the camera, the angle, the lighting, the year, the type of film, the focus, the depth of field, like it talks camera. So I'm not a photography person at all, but I know the look of what I'm going for because I studied art history.
Yep.
So I know how to say, I want Slim Aaron Styles photographs of Capri in 1974 with this woman wearing this color dress, driving this car, because I know the art history of it. So I have the language to be able to tell the computer, this is what I want you to reference.
And that's the skill. It's learning the language to give the right prompts. It's going to change the come. And I think so many people who are dissing, the same with Canva, it's the same as searching for a template and then they complain they can't find it. It's the prompts. They say, you can't create a professional looking design in Canva and it's just drag and drop. It's template. It's not. There is so many beautiful elements hidden in that library, but you have to know what to put in the prompt to search to find it. And that's the skill. And that's
you have to speak the language that the thing is going to understand. It all comes back to the language and understanding each other.
Yeah, it does.
I love this kind of stuff because this to me makes me feel like the things that I've learned are applicable. Because my thing is that I studied art history and I don't use my degree.
Yes. But
you end up using it in ways you didn't think you were going to.
Exactly. And it's the same with, again, I've been a career a long time and I have worked with designers who came from the finest design schools. I've worked with designers who are self-taught, and it's always the self-taught ones who are almost like apologetic that they're self-taught. They're the ones I often preferred working with because they were the ones who would strive to learn and create more. I would have some people who goes, well, I'd done my 4 years at art school and then would sit back and think that was them for the rest of their career. I'm still learning. I've done more learning in the last 5 years than I've done in the last 20 because of the speed, the technology is changing, the environment. COVID changed the face of
You gave me
content.
goosebumps, Jules. That's that sentence, because I think that's the fallacy. We think that once I'm 20 years from now, I'm going to know all the things. No. You have to want to learn the things.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, that literally gave me goosebumps. My goodness, this was a good conversation. Wow. We talked about Canva, but we also did not talk about Canva at all.
Yeah, it's a whole encompassing conversation about design, really.
Oh, I love it. Well, where can everyone find you, follow you, take your courses, consume your content? Can you please plug yourself?
Yes, I am on TikTok and YouTube as Designer in Your Pocket. And I'm on Instagram as well, and it's Designer in Your Pocket _Juls. And I have my Canva membership, which is month-on-month basis, and also my new Canva Animation Academy course, which I am loving and people are loving, and I hope your audience would love it too.
Oh my gosh, I know that they will. And thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're zoning into your productive hours. So
I am.
You're in the zone, even though it's 10 p.m. Amazing. Amazing. Well, thanks so much for coming on. And thanks everyone for listening. If you learned something from this episode, which, I mean, how could you not? I feel like there was a lot of stuff here. I learned things from this episode. Share it. Tag us. We'd love to connect with you in the comments and connect with you on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or anywhere you're watching this. And I think that's it. Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.